JJ Jinx!
Truck stop!
So I've done a couple of videos at this point on peasants' knives, workers' knives. For example, I've had a look at the Higo no Kami, and not too long ago, this guy, the South African Okapi, and I wanted to continue collecting in that theme, sort of common, well-known, widely used knives, but also knives that have some kind of historical significance. And so I decided it was high time to talk about this knife, which is called the Kirpan. It has a very rich history, and so we will begin with this handsome gentleman. His name is Guru Gobind Singh, and he lived back in the 1600s. He's the 10th Sikh Guru, and he founded the Khalsa in the year 1699. He also established the 5 Ks of Sikhism. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Well, let's talk about the history that led up to this point very briefly. Basically, the Sikhs were a religious group that were heavily persecuted by the Mughal Empire, which basically it was an Islamic state with Sharia law, and so they got fucked with by the Muslims, and they got fucked with by the Hindus. Everybody fucked with these guys. And at this point, they've just had enough of it. Oppression sucks. Persecution sucks. We're gonna make it our entire religious identity to fight against cruelty and oppression in any form, regardless of the persecutor. These guys, if you're getting stepped on by the man, doesn't matter who's doing the stepping, they got your back. Think about it. That's the entire religion right there. Now, there are a bunch of ceremonies and holidays and traditions. Now, the 5 Ks, that's basically the dress code for the Khalsa. The Khalsa are the warriors whose charge is to have your back. So, we should probably talk about the 5 Ks. Kesh, Kara, Kanga, Kachura, Kirpan. Now, the Kesh is basically the practice of growing your hair. The idea is that you're perfect. You don't need to make any modifications, and that includes cutting your hair. And by allowing your hair to grow, it represents spiritual devotion, dedication, self-respect, courage, and piety. The Kara is an iron or steel circle, basically a bangle, that symbolizes God as never-ending, but it also symbolizes your bond to the community, of being a link in the chain of the Khalsa Sikhs. Now, the Kanga was kind of counterintuitive to me. It took me a while to understand it. It's got to do with the kesh, the growing of the hair. It's basically a comb that you wear, and you are charged with using it twice a day. Now, the kesh is sort of an anti-vanity thing, so why comb your hair twice a day? Well, the idea was that you don't just accept what God has given you, you maintain it with grace. And so that is the symbolism of the Kanga. The Kachura is underpants. And now I know what you may be thinking. Religions that have some kind of a doctrine about undergarments tend to be a little weird, but hear me out on this one. The Kachura are given to baptized Sikhs. Basically, you have to go through a ceremony and you become a confirmed Sikh. And it symbolizes the soldier's willingness to be ready at a moment's notice to come to somebody's defense. Because the Kachura is nice and loose and comfortable. And basically, you might be chilling in a field or having some tea, and when you see somebody in trouble, you gotta be ready to jump on a horse and ride into action. So everyone's gotta wear this. And, of course, it symbolizes chastity and self-restraint, because of course it does. And we arrive at K number 5, the Kirpan. The Kirpan is a sword or a knife. It could be either one. The only real requirements are that it has to be made of steel or iron, and you've got to wear it on you at all times. And to help hold it on, you can use a gatra, which is basically just a strip of cloth you kind of sling it onto your body with. Now, back in the day, they were really serious about this. Like, no, you gotta have this on you and, like, be ready to freaking use it. But these days, it's more symbolic about your willingness to help other people. It's a recurring theme. And a lot of Kirpans these days are dull, and you just sort of carry it to show, hey, I'm a Sikh. This is one of the 5 Ks. It's an article of my religion. And there's been some controversies about this with, should Sikhs be able to carry one of these to a school or an airport? And the laws have kind of varied here and there. Different parts of Europe have different rules, and it's complicated and evolving. But the point is that it is symbolic of the Sikhs' duty to come to the defense of those in peril. Now, this particular Kirpan is not a very nice one. It's kind of shoddy and cheaply made and a little dirty. And as you can see, the blade is quite dull, but that's okay because according to the rules, it just has to be made from iron or steel, and that's it. It's largely ceremonial these days. And on the scabbard, which has this pretty distinct upturn towards the end of it, we can see a couple of religious symbols adorn it. For example, this kind of squid-looking one, which is a khanda, which consists of one double-edged sword, the circular chakram, and 2 single-edged Kirpan swords. And further up, kind of hard to tell because it's all shiny, we have this symbol, which is called the Ik Onkar, and it represents God as one supreme reality. It also declares Sikhism as monotheistic and happens to be the opening text to their holy book, the Guru Granth Sahib. Which brings us full circle back to Guru Gobind Singh. Remember how he was called the 10th Sikh Guru? Well, he was also called the last living Guru. See, a living guru isn't really necessary anymore because everything's contained in the holy book, which is why the book itself is called the Guru Granth Sahib. And they treat the book with an immense amount of respect. Here you can see it on a comfy bed with offerings of food and gold, and yeah, they basically make a shrine out of it. I actually knew a Sikh when I was in high school, and his family had an entire bedroom in their house just for the Guru Granth Sahib. So, I'm not super in love with the Kirpan itself, but rather what it stands for. I really like that Sikh ideology that if someone is being oppressed, in distress, or whatever, you spring into action and help that person. It doesn't matter if they are one of you, one of them, one of they. It doesn't matter if you even might hate that person. The point is, oppression sucks. Nip that shit in the bud at whatever cost. It's just the right thing to do for other people. The human race would actually benefit if we all had a little bit of Sikh in all of us.